All right, y'all. It's your boy Walt, and Katt Williams just went on Shannon Sharp's show and dropped a lot of stuff that must have been on his mind and his chest. Now, there was a lot of stuff he talked about. He talked about Cedric the Entertainer, or how that nigga ain't never been funny, he can't really write. Right? He talked about Faison. He talked about a lot of people. He talked about, I would say, a big majority of the comedic He talked about, I would say, the big majority of comics, right? Like a lot of comics he talked about, the ones that he respected, and the ones that he didn't respect at all. So he brought up Kevin Hart, and when he brought up Kevin Hart, I found that interesting because he called Kevin Hart a plant. A plant. He said that Kevin Hart has not been. He said that Kevin Hart was never on the. He said that Kevin Hart was never on the comedic circuit the way that he claimed to be. He said that Kevin Hart pretty much kind of just came out of nowhere after Soul Plane. Like no comedian just came out of nowhere and got themselves like a leading role on a movie, even if it was a BT movie, right? Like when he said that, I started to think, that's kind of true. Usually these guys have to go through these kind of underground circuits for a long time. Kevin Hart kind of popped up. I'm not saying that I think it's true. I'm just saying it was very interesting, and Kevin Hart had to respond, so let's see how he does that.
3 days into the new year, and Katt Williams has officially declared war on several of his fellow comedians.
Yeah.
The 52-year-old veteran comedian would hold nothing back during a new interview with sports commentator and host Shannon Sharp for an episode of his podcast, Club Shay Shay. As many of us know, Katt has always had a few things to say about the likes of Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, and others in past interviews. Yep. So for many, this would be another classic Katt.
Yeah, he went crazy too. He said Steve Harvey was never homeless. That was insane. Some of the stuff he said, I was like, man, I don't like. This seems kind of insane to say, but let's get into it.
When discussing Kevin Hart with Shannon, Katt would mainly allege Hart for being an industry plant and that some of his early history appears to be a mystery.
Have we heard of a comedian that came to L.A. and in his first year in L.A. he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? What do you think a plant is?
Wait. Kevin Hart had a sitcom though? I don't remember the sitcom on network TV. What sitcom did Kevin have? I don't remember Kevin having a sitcom. And again, I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I remember watching Kevin Hart back in the earlier 2000s, back when I'm a Grown Little Man came out, back when Laugh at My Pain came out. Kevin Hart took over the world for a period in time in his stand-up, dude. He was doing stand-up shows. So the whole plant thing, like I said, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's true. Then again, I don't have as much information as a Katt would, right? Because he is a part of this circuit with these guys. But we've seen Kevin Hart do really well on stage. We've seen him kill on stage. We've seen him come from a really big stage presence to a movie presence to now he's a YouTuber presence. Like, he went through the same ass kind of channels that you would have to go through. He became a big ass, performer on stage. He was an on stage performer like the Richard Pryors, the Eddie Murphys, the Katt Williams. And then he got into movies like the Richard Pryor, the Eddie Murphys, the Katt Williams. So, so I think it's like Kevin Hart responded. He said, "Get that anger out of your heart," or something like that. And I think he might have a point because he's been hating on Kev for a long time.
And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves. They have all the assets and resources and we don't. But let us get on the line, boy, and see if that factors in.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like, Kevin Hart has traveled a lot and done a lot of shows, not just, in Philadelphia, but all around the country. Like, he is a stand-up performer. Like, Kevin Hart is the one that told Drewski, "Hey, bruh, stop just doing the skits online. You have to start going out there on the circuits and performing." Kevin Hart told that to Drewski, who's one of the newer comedic faces out there who made his name on online platforms. So it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm sorry to say, but Katt Williams really does seem to be like holding in some type of anger that he's just like using to attack people with, And some of the shit he said, I think, makes sense. Like when he talked about Steve Harvey and he said that, Steve Harvey is here claiming that his woman is the one that got him out of like that dark place in his life when he was doing drugs and homeless. But Steve Harvey claimed that about another woman before this new woman he's with. So who are you actually talking about? Right? When he brings that up, I'm like, okay, that's fact. That's fact. Because Steve Harvey said that about his ex-wife and he said that about his new wife. It can't be true about both bitches. Right? So were you ever even in that space that you're claiming that you were in? On that end, I agree. With the Kevin Hart stuff, him being a plant, no. We saw Kevin Hart work very hard to get to where he is. We saw Kevin Hart not give a year away, not take any breaks. We saw Kevin Hart put that fucking work in to become this guy. You may not think that he's as funny as you, but his body of work definitely, I would say, exceeds Katt Williams at this point. Katt Williams has been in a lot of movies, sure, but Kevin Hart has been in far more movies as a leading role and far more movies that have done, like, I would say, just a lot better in the box office. Like, Katt Williams used to be in movies in the earlier 2000s, like African-American black movies like Norbit and shit like that every community didn't watch. It's not every community that watched Norbit, right? Every community watches Kevin Hart's movies. That's just a fact. I'm sorry to say. They black, white, Asian, Hispanic, we do.
I guarantee you it won't. Wow. Behind my back, I'm nothing. I'm just a regular old comedian that's bitter and jealous. But in my face, no.
Now on Thursday morning, Hart would give his reaction to Williams' latest diss. In a post shared on X, Hart would fire back at Williams along with promoting his newest project coming to Netflix. Gotta get that anger about you, champ. It's honestly sad. In the meantime, please enjoy my movie trailer to my next film, Lift.
I'm not gonna lie, Kevin Hart did this, so this is the best troll ever, bro. Because when I saw this online, I was like, damn, Katt, you shouldn't have done that interview the way you did it, because really, you look like a petty, mad-ass nigga. That's what you look like. I'm a big fan of Katt Williams. And I had to step back and be like, damn, nigga, you made yourself look bad, nigga. You know what I mean? Katt Williams looks like one of those females that be like complaining about men not doing them right, but then they don't do right neither. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he kind of looked like in that situation. He kind of just looked like you're being petty because other people have become successful in a lane that you feel should be a harder lane to get into. But I don't necessarily think that anything should be so hard to get into that now we're dismissing a new generation of people that figured out another way to do it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing he's doing. He's trying to be like, oh, all these new niggas, they don't have to go through what we went through to become what we are. I'm like, yeah, but then also you didn't have to go through what the generation prior to you really had to go through to get to where you are, because they had to go through completely different shit. Right? Like, the further back the generation is, the more you had to do to even get your name, heard, or to get people to see you. And when it comes to Katt Williams, you're a great comedian. Like, you deserve everything that you've got, and you deserve way more. But that doesn't give you the right to diss other people because they chose to do comedy a different way. Right? You can say you don't find Kevin Hart funny. You can say Kevin Hart's comedy is kind of, I don't think Kevin Hart is necessarily the greatest stand-up comic anymore. Right? I think his best stand-up comic shows were early on, like I said, Growing Little Man, right? Laugh at My Pain. Those were good. The recent stuff he's done was, but Kevin Hart is funny in movies. He's a good movie comedian. He's good with like his facial expressions and with, like, he's good with doing that shit. That's where his comedy is. That's where a lot of this new generation's comedy is, in their facial expressions and the way that they say certain things. That don't gotta be you, Katt. I'm just saying.
Which will be dropping on Netflix in 8 days. There is a moment in the trailer where Gugu Mbatha says they really love you. I know she's talking about Katt. Mark your calendar, world. This one is special. Now, Hart wouldn't be the only person to respond. Others will also comment on Williams' interview, including Hart affiliate and Plastic Cup Boys, Spank Horton.
Yep.
As he would also go on X to write, he comes back every 3 to 5 years
to talk about the
same shit.
Yep.
So instead of telling the truth, you want to lie about movies that hit your desk first? LOL. What homosexual role did Kev do in them 5 movies?
Yep.
You couldn't leave the country to do Fool's Gold in Australia, so the role got passed to Kev. For those who have been following the beef between Katt Williams and Kevin Hart, remember that their tension would start when Williams was originally the star.
Maybe that's the reason why Katt has actually been hating on Kev for a long time. Because I have heard these stories where, like, Kevin has gotten some jobs that originally went to Katt Williams, but Katt Williams, I think he was trying to leverage his success. And these companies were just kind of like, no, we're not going to let you leverage your success on us because there's another upcoming comedian who's right now really bigger than you have ever been in the world. Like, Katt Williams has never been as big as Kevin Hart has been at his height. Like, he's never been. So for Katt Williams to think that he could leverage his success over somebody like Kevin Hart is insane, man. It's insane. I'm sorry to say, it's just crazy, right?
The 2008 film Fool's Gold, but due to his then legal issues, he had to pass on the opportunity, which required him to film in Australia.
That's why Kevin was in that movie, because Kevin wasn't big. I was wondering why the fuck Kevin was in that movie Fool's Gold with Matthew McConaughey. I was wondering. This was before Kevin Hart became